My name's Tara, and I'm a 65-year-old retired college professor. I don't know anything about construction. So if I can convert a schoolie, anyone can. So let's see if I can. It's a beautiful day in the North Woods. Doesn't Fanny look gorgeous against the trees? But it's also a little nippy, so time to finish up on some of that insulation. As I said before, I started this insulation way too early. It's been falling out on me and driving me crazy since we first got it in. So today it's time to finish getting the walls insulated. Now, I'm going to put a little bit more insulation, one more layer up here, and then I have some string and some staples, and I'm going to sort of weave my way along to hold it in, and that way we'll be ready to put the wires in and put the walls on and have it all ready. Now the other part to deal with is this bottom part right here, right underneath the rail, and what I have for that is some 1.5 inch that I'll just cut to order and then tape in there, and anyway, that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So I have a lot of work to do, but I'm hoping to get it done today so we can move on to some other things tomorrow. This little section took about 10 minutes. This whole project's going to take a while. It's arts and crafts with gloves on, and I could be more dexterous at it, I'm sure. But I'm as dexterous as I am. So I'll keep going from here. Halfway done. This side looks much more tidy than this side where everything's falling apart. So, getting there. Okay, that looks much more tidy. I started putting in the 1.5 inch foam board. There's some little gaps like this that I will need to fill with some fiberglass scraps, but basically it fits pretty nicely. I ran into a little problem with the cutting implement, so I'll have to go to the hardware store to get another one of those. And in the meantime, I'm getting ready to start the wiring. So I put in these little things to hold the wires, which were left behind in the bus. So I'm just repurposing them. And we'll get the wiring hopefully strung today. I think I'll put the wire through those rubber things at every bend, and then I can also tack it up along the way. This stuff is great, but it's hard to cut. And the only thing I've been able to find that will cut it is one of these, these things that have the blades that break off. Unfortunately, the blades break off. So I have to get some more blades of these before I can cut more of this. I actually tried a carving knife thinking that might work, and it kind of does, but it makes kind of a mess of the edge. I don't know if you can see that, but the edge gets pretty chewed up. So if I have to use the carving knife, I will, but I think it's probably pretty simple to just go get some more of these blades and give that a try. It's wiring day. Took us about 3 or 4 hours, but we've run the wire. Of course, it's attached to nothing, but it's run, and it's labeled on both sides. This is, I am standing where the garage will eventually be. Right now we just have the wires hanging out. because one, there's nothing to attach them to, but two, I don't want to close off this back door because it's the easiest way to get things in. So for now, the wires are just going to hang out all labeled back here, sort of out of the way. I don't know if you noticed, but we have back walls, just little ones, so enough to tuck the wires behind. Now, the whole wiring thing has been a real learning experience for me. Certainly not learning. I've got a lot more to learn. So far, there are just so many decisions to make. So, lots of people, when they put together a schoolie, they have two separate electrical systems. A 12-volt system that runs a lot of things like the hot water heater and the water pump, and the 120 system, a 110 system that runs sort of the household things like the outlets and maybe the lights. That seemed like a lot of work to me. The reason you do it is because 12 volt is a little bit more efficient because you're coming off of the batteries, so you're not losing anything in the conversion to 110, 120. But I didn't want a whole separate wiring system because I don't know what I'm doing. And so wiring one seemed complicated enough. So everything in the bus is going to run off regular household electricity. And we'll lose a little bit of efficiency, but that's okay. I went with copper wire because even though it's more expensive, it's a little more stable, and the bus is going to be vibrating a lot, and I don't want to have to replace wire. So altogether, so when I went to the store, I ended up buying 250 feet of copper wire, and I thought that that would be overkill, and it ended up pretty much exactly right. Now I think there's probably some excess in here. There'll be little bits of excess when I actually hook things in, but maybe not too much. Okay, let me show you the wiring plan. As you can see, it sort of looks like a bit of a mess, but there is purpose in that chaos. So the biggest loop around the bus is for the lights. There are 8 lights. They don't go right down the center. We have one in the center that'll be in sort of what I think of as will be a kind of a dark hallway, or the darkish hallway. The couch will be here, so there's some light over here. There's a light just as you come in. There's also a light switch. And then there are lights going down. There are 8 of them altogether. 8 lights, 2 light switches, one at the front and one at the back by the bed. Then there are outlets. We'll have, I think, all together about 4 outlets that aren't dedicated to anything, that are just outlets. And then one down here, this is in the bathroom, that's dedicated to the little fan. And then I'll make it a outlet so we can plug anything else in, although since there's no water in the bathroom, the water's going to be at the sink in the kitchen, which is pretty darn close to the bathroom. So I can't think of things that we want to plug in, but who knows? Who knows what I want to plug in. All right, then we've got a space for hard wiring in the stove. This is going to be the outlet for the refrigerator, which will just be dedicated outlet for the refrigerator. And then over here is the water pump and the water heater. And then I have a separate little coil. The last little bit of the wire is a coil that will be a circuit to an outlet and a light in the garage. But since I haven't built the garage, I can't run that wire yet. So that's the wiring system as it sits. I have a couple more things to do before I put the wall in. There's got to be, I'm going to run a inlet for shore power, and that'll be somewhere around in here, and I have to sort of dig in the wall to cut into the wall to do that. And then I need to cut into the wall to get the water system. Here's the fresh water tank. To get the water system so that I can hook up to shore water. And then once those two are in, and I've got the outlet boxes, the receptacle boxes put in for the electrical, I think we can close up the walls, and that would be pretty exciting. So hopefully that'll happen next week. Although I don't know if you've realized this yet, but I always tell you something's going to happen and then I do something entirely different. There's just so much work to do that who knows what's going to happen. But I'd like to get the walls done. So I'm hoping that's next week. Here's an exciting development. I'm sitting in a seat on the bus, and look, it actually works. We bolted it back in, and this puppy is drivable. And sort of surprisingly, it's a little more comfortable than it was before. Lifting up the seat a couple inches brought me a little closer to the steering wheel. I think I can reach the pedals, although, I can't reach the pedals. I can reach the pedals, but I think it'll be comfortable reaching the pedals. But I will see once I get to driving her a bit. But she is a functional vehicle again, and that's exciting.